Hi guys, Viking Reefing here. I've been asked quite a lot recently about my quarantine procedure, so I thought I would take you through it here. I believe one of the reasons why people ask me a lot is that I don't really do the standard measures of quarantine that's prevalent in the hobby these days. What most people do is that they have quite a small tank, which is very sterile. They might have some PVC elbows and stuff like that, an air stone, and perhaps a pump and heater as well. And then they put their new fish in there, and they dose that with copper, Pro, Melafix, or what have you. And they treat their fish prophylactically. I don't believe that's a very good idea in most cases. I've tried that in the past as well, and I never really had any good success with it, especially when it comes to the more sensitive species in the hobby. Seem to always struggle in that kind of an environment. Keep in mind, copper, for example, is a toxin. It's not just poisonous to the parasites and pathogens, but it's also very toxic to the fish. And you're basically just hedging your bets that'll kill off the pathogens quicker than it'll kill off the fish. Copper is also an appetite suppressant on fish, and since I keep a lot of kind of finicky fish that can be difficult feeders, um, dosing the tank with copper doesn't really seem that great of an idea in my mind. I will treat if I see something pop up. For example, if I see flukes, I will treat with Pro. Um, but I will stay away from copper in most cases. The My favorite thing to use would be chloroquine phosphate, the malaria drug, and that treats both velvet and ick, which I don't really care about ick. I don't really see ick as an issue because I haven't really lost a fish to ick, and well, I can't remember the last time, but it has happened like a handful of times in over 2 decades. And it's basically been down to my mistakes when that has happened. So I don't really see ick as an issue, really. The only type of medicines I will be using, or at least substances I will be using at the fish, is that I give them a dip in fresh water once I receive them, and then they get a bath of methylene blue and formalin before they go into this QT tank. I might skip out on the formalin if it's a very sensitive fish, because I feel that formalin can be quite rough on some fish as well. And there are some safety concerns, so if you want to use formalin, do it in a well-ventilated area, and perhaps even use some sort of a mask because it's quite a nasty substance. It can cause cancer in humans, so yeah, you don't really want to play around too much with that. So what I found that works best for me is to run my quarantine basically like a just in a reef tank, just scaled down on the tech side of things. So what I've got here is a Joule 200, I believe. It's 200 liters. It's completely stock. So I have the Joule filter here, which is filled with Aquaforest Biofill for beneficial bacteria and more surface area for bacteria. Some carbon and GFO in a bag, and I have a filter sponge up here that will filter out most of the gunk. I also use the stock heater, which is inside this filter, and I have a small C-shape pump here as well for flow. I might actually upgrade for some more flow in the future, pointing it downwards just to make sure that no crud accumulates underneath the rocks and stuff. I also have actual live rock in here, which I pulled from my sump. So it has all kinds of sponges, sea stars, copepods, and stuff like that for the fish to graze on. When I'm actively QTing fish, I will also pull out a big clump of chaetomorpha from my refugium and just attach it here. You can see that there's no algae here. That's because the chaeto has been blocking the light and it hence preventing algae growth. The chaeto has two benefits. It will definitely be carrying over some very beneficial organisms, like even more copepods and amphipods and stuff like that, but it also helps with nutrient management, since it will be absorbing nitrates and phosphates. I generally feed quite heavy in this tank, so that's a definite boon to have it in here. I do about a 20 to 30% water change on this tank weekly, and to make it easy on myself and save a couple of bucks, I do it at the same time that I do a water change on my main tank. So I drain out about to here or somewhere down into my utility sink here, and then I just hook up a hose and a pump into my sump, which is back here, and I just pump new water, or well, kind of old water from my main tank into here. My local fish store keeps their salinity at 1.021, so that's the salinity I keep in here as well when I'm receiving new fish. That just eases the process. I don't have to drip acclimate them or anything. I can just temperature acclimate them and drop them straight in. And then I will raise the salinity over time up to standard reef tank salinity. So I can basically just pull them from here straight into the main display. Fish generally stay here for about 2 weeks, but I might keep them in here longer as well if I notice that they aren't looking all that good, or if there's something that I feel a bit suspicious about. Also, one of the main benefits of having a quarantine is that if you keep kind of finicky feeders, it'll give them a chance to get used to aquarium fare without the competition of a bunch of other angelfish and tanks and whatnot that are in the main display tank. Oh, and I just used the stock dual LED lighting here. Nothing fancy whatsoever. It doesn't need to be. As you can see, it's kind of dirty because I've just finished a cycle of fish, and I generally don't clean this tank out for the last week or something because I know that I'll be pulling the fish out soon. But I will be doing a 50% water change on this tank today to make it ready for the next batch of fish that I'll be placing in here. So what I do when I transfer my fish to my display tank? Well, let's go and have a look. So that kind of depends on the species of fish that I'm introducing. As you can see here, I'm introducing a new Moorish idol. I tried introducing one 6 months ago or something like that to replace my old one called Fat Frank, which had an accident and died. But unfortunately, when I introduced that one, my Achilles went just haywire on it and killed it. Or well, it basically damaged it very severely. I pulled it and put it in quarantine, and it succumbed to its wounds after about a month or so. What happened was that it got a slash right across its eye, which made it kind of difficult for it to eat. And then it just withered away and died, unfortunately. So, if I suspect that there might be some aggression issues, which I know that there would be with this Moorish idol, I place him first in an isolation box like this. For about, well, I'll say at least a week or something. I kind of go case by case basis to see when all aggression has subsided. Just wait a little bit extra just to make sure. For a fish like this, I will also be taking some extra precautions. I will be releasing it after lights out. If you're lucky, doing it that way can kind of surprise the other fish, and they won't even notice that there's a new addition the following day when lights come back on. I will also be taping large mirrors around the tank to just divert any aggression that might come from like the Achilles or the angelfish. I'm going to be, oh, you can see here, some aggression from the Achilles. Imagine if that would have had happened, if they could get at each other, that would have been really bad. I might try something new this time as well. I'm thinking about printing out some, well, just pictures of like an Achilles, a majestic angel, and a purple tang, and just taping them to the tank as well to further divert your attention away from the new Moorish idol. If I'm fairly confident that there won't be any aggression issues, I will be doing what I did with the spring ride damsels, which I bought at the same time as the Moorish idol. I basically just, well, plonk him in the tank and, well, Bob's your uncle, I guess. If you're using one of these isolation boxes, I would strongly suggest that you place some live rocks in there, just for the new arrival to, well, kind of feel safer. You should also be using one of these quite large boxes. As you can see here, this is a beast of a box. But I don't really see any point of having a small isolation box where the fish will just get stressed out as all hell, and you can't keep them in there for more than a couple of days. I'm planning to have this guy, like I said, at least a week, perhaps two even, and it's going to be completely fine in here for that time because it's not stressed whatsoever. It's eating like a champ, and it's having no issues. I believe that was about it. That's how I introduce new fish to my tank. If you have any questions, please post them down below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you think I've earned it. Have a good day and happy reefing. Bye.